Segment here. Is it a mistake for the Cowboys to do this projected contract with George Pickens? I have a couple of questions here for you. I don't know if it's a good idea. I think I'm fixing to go in and commit both feet on this idea. And when they have a great offense again, but they can't stop anybody, just remember who told you first. Matter of fact, I think keeping George Pickens might just be good for TV ratings and sales. I don't know if it's getting them any closer to winning. And I hate to say it because I might be the biggest GP fan at this station. Huge fan of him. I wouldn't be opposed to dealing CD and keeping GP. Let me say it like that. I just think that for this team that is so obsessed with managing the salary cap conservatively, this is a massive opportunity to free up a bunch of money, get more picks, and actually rebuild the defense. But once you put pen to paper with GP, long-term deal or franchise tag, I don't see them, saying, and we're going to get a linebacker and an edge rusher and a right tackle and a corner. So if you got to choose, the way to do it is with roster balance. Nobody's winning with a top 5 offense and a bottom 10 defense. Like the minimum historically is average, and they're quite a ways away from average defensively. So at 877-881-1053, I'll give you the roster projection or the contract projection here in just a second. Segment's brought to you by the Frankels. If you've been injured in a car truck wreck, call the Frankels first, 214 or 817-333-3333. There's never an out-of-pocket cost. They only get paid when you win. The Frankels are the go-to car and truck wreck attorneys in Dallas. Yeah, I've been sniffing around this topic, asked it as a question a couple of times, but now that we are here in the offseason and the full scope of how bad this defense is upon us, I saw Nick Harrison. I think he might be low. 4 years, $120 million. If I'm George Pickens and David Mulligeta right now, I do got to defer to Harris. He might have a better nuanced understanding of this. He might have a report on what could get this done, like a genuine report. It's not just his gut, but my gut's telling me that's about $20 million short. I think I need 4 and 140 if I'm George Pickens. This cap is only going up. By the time we get to 2028, 2029, that $30 million is going to be very low compared to where to the top of this wide receiver market is going. But even if it's a team friendly deal, it's still $30 million. I really want to spend that on the defense if I can help it. That's where I'm at. Leave your name and city you're texting from if you want to get in on this conversation. It really comes back to the fact that the Cowboys have a very conservative cap strategy.
Right. They're not like a team like the Eagles or the Rams or somebody that'd be like, okay, we're going all in right now and we're gonna overpay for a bunch of things and mortgage the future.
Come on, bring it.
They're not down for that. So I totally get where you're coming from on this one. And as much as I love George Pickens as well, if you can do a tag and trade situation where you're getting at least a first round pick for him, I'd be totally fine with that.
They couldn't even build a good defense with George Pickens counting as $3 million or $2 million against the cap. How are we going to add $27 or $28 million to the cap on another wide receiver and say, yep, now we're going to have the resources to do this? And it sucks because you want to have star players, and certainly you don't get closer to the top by giving away good players. But when you're not that close and you have a gaping hole defensively, 3 or 4 gaping holes defensively, you also need safety. Okay, we need a lot of good players.
Watch the stack today.
We did go through some safeties.
We did. We went through some safeties. They need
to get a day 2 pick.
Yeah, they have
to get any of these guys, or you kind of just take one.
We addressed it.
So last night we saw the Steelers' offense be complete butt.
Right.
You know why? They're the opposite of the Cowboys. They spend 2/3 of their cap dollars on defense. And, that's that part of the Steelers team held up pretty well. Would they give up 14 points or 16 points on the defense?
Yeah, they allowed 2 defensive touchdowns, so absolutely. Here's the Pickens contract is fascinating. I knew when the Cowboys traded for him, the Steelers already drew a line that we're not paying you north of 25, and he wanted that. Then I was told his camp wants north of 30. If he were to get 35, there's only 2 other receivers in the league. That's Chase and Jefferson. that are getting over 35. I can
Lamb's like right at 35?
Lamb's
34?
at 34,
Okay.
right? And then you've got DK at 33, Garrett Wilson at 32.5. Those are the top 5 highest paid guys. George Pickens, this is the first time he's ever had over 63 catches in a season. First time he's ever had over 5 touchdowns in a season. Just the second time he's had over 1,000 yards in 4 years, and it's the first time he's had over 1,150 yards. That's what he had in his other best season in 2023. So I can just see, plus you have the stigma, which I don't think is fair, but I think exists amongst other NFL teams that don't know the player well enough, of some of the stuff and the baggage that the Steelers dealt with him. The Cowboys now know that, and everything that I've heard is he's been awesome in the locker room. He's really well liked on the team. Dak loves him. He's got a great relationship with CD. He's been tremendous since he's been here. Some people will push back and say, like, yeah, but he's looking for a payday. So is he on his best behavior? Well, you had the incident that happened in Vegas, and so he sits out the first drive. But I can see teams pushing back, like, dude, you can want 35. We're not giving that to you.
Even 30, though? Even 30 for a team that desperately needs to rebuild its defense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. See, here's my thing. If I could be guaranteed, if the Cowboys say we're not doing this, and I'd still love to tag and trade because I need to do something with that asset, and now I'm using it to try and also team build by adding picks, and I'll trade him to Buffalo, a team we've talked about, or whoever, Baltimore, whatever team we want to discuss, and try and get a third-round pick back or a second-round pick, whatever I can get. I need to know for sure that the Cowboys then will use the added resources to fill out the roster on defense. I don't know that they will do that. Jerry says that they will. Jerry talks about busting the budget. I think Jerry wants to. Do the other people, as we've talked about, the consensus, the other voices, agree with that? Or will they look at the rest of the salary cap? You can't sell me, we moved Micah because we couldn't afford Micah, which is bull, because they were going to pay him, but you can't sell that and then not do anything with that money.
I love the idea that we moved on from Micah to get extra picks and more money. Now, if you did that with Micah, it makes sense with Pickens as well. You know, is it 4 or 5 players considering how many needs the team has? I would love to believe it, but I think most people believe that wasn't for that strategic reason. That was the best explanation you could assign to the Micah thing after things had gotten more difficult than you imagined they would be. I wanted to ask you as well. We're all big fans of Pickens, right? We all like Pickens.
Yeah,
of course.
Do you guys think on the other side of that contract we'll get even more casual games from him? Like, how much stock do you put in that as a team builder? Yeah,
his demeanor is, or the play style is that of a guy who is not. We've talked about this a bunch for 17 weeks. People are like, "Oh, look at him! He's lazy in routes. He doesn't care." Watch his games. He
plays like that in the games he's dominating too.
Yeah, he could have 100. He could have 130 yards, and he can run routes exactly like that. When you watch him play every week, you almost get used to his pace in the way he plays. So it's not surprising. It's surprising that on a Thursday night game, everybody was ripping him about his play style. But that's how he plays. So it's not with a great sense of urgency unless the ball is going his way. Then it turns into a sense of urgency.
Yeah, I think you just got to take the good with the bad there.
They know the guy now.
Yeah.
They absolutely know the player.
And it seems like he likes football. Maybe there's some focus issues every now and then, but you look at the entirety of the season, it was an incredible year, and I would bet that more of those are going to happen.
I think he does really love playing the game, and I think he loves the competitive aspect of it. I just don't think he's cool with all the rules and stuff. I don't think he's cool with curfew and meeting times and stuff like that. I think he's kind of like, listen, I'll show up and play, and I'll get you your 130 yards every week. Just let me be. And I think that's why, we heard what happened in the Vegas game. How many other days have there been where, his clock was 25 minutes later than everybody else's clock?
And hey, if you were trying to build that type of situation, as Shadi has said he is, it would make sense that you would, want to hold him accountable or to not make an example out of this is what you do and get rewarded on this football team. You certainly were willing to do it with players that had fallen out of favor. Are you making exceptions for George? It certainly looks that way to me.
Hell yeah, you are, because George is going to roll out of bed and get you 130.
I mean, and there's some things that he does better than everybody else in the NFL. The ball's downfield, the yak. Nobody does it better than George Pickens. So I desperately want the Cowboys to signal that they're going to bring him back and fill out the other parts of the team. But I feel like it's been a very established track record that they will take care of the offense and then try to patch the defense together on whatever kind of shoestring budget they have and then hold their breath at their draft picks.